It's 3 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down. Your eyes are wide open. Your brain won't stop replaying a conversation from 6 years ago. You assume something is wrong with you. But the real answer is far stranger. For most of human history, waking up in the middle of the night wasn't a disorder. It was the plan. Your ancestors didn't sleep the way you sleep. They didn't collapse for 8 straight hours and wake up in one clean block. They slept in two parts, and the space in between wasn't wasted. It was some of the most important time of their day. Historian A. Roger Ekirch spent over a decade digging through diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. He wasn't looking for anything about sleep at first. But he kept finding the same two words over and over in documents centuries apart. First sleep, second sleep. People wrote about them like they were as normal as breakfast. A person would go to bed a few hours after sunset. They would sleep for 3 or 4 hours. Then they would wake up. Not from a nightmare, not from noise. Just wake up, in the dark, wide awake. And here's the part that should stop you cold. This waking period usually lasted 1 to 2 hours. People used it to pray, to talk with their spouse, to think. Some got up and visited neighbors who were also awake in their own segmented sleep. Then, eventually, they drifted into second sleep and woke again at dawn. Ekirch found over 500 references to this pattern in historical sources. Sermons warning against using the waking hour for sin. Medical guides suggesting it was the best time to conceive a child because the body was rested but the mind was calm. This wasn't rare, it was assumed. It was Tuesday. So what happened? Why does almost nobody sleep this way now? The short answer is a Belgian inventor and a filament. Artificial light didn't just let you stay up later. It rewired the entire architecture of the night. Before gas lamps and electric bulbs, night was long, dark, and mostly unstructured after a certain hour. There wasn't much to do in it except sleep, rest, or lie quietly with your thoughts. So the body split its sleep into two manageable chunks with a buffer of consciousness in between. Once artificial light arrived, the evening stretched. People stayed up later, packed the free hours with activity, and eventually collapsed into one long block of exhausted sleep because that's all the remaining night allowed. The two-part pattern didn't disappear because it was wrong. It disappeared because the conditions that produced it disappeared. But here's where it gets stranger. This wasn't just a European habit from a few centuries ago. It might be far, far older than that. Psychiatrist Thomas Ware ran an experiment in the 1990s that almost nobody talks about, and it should be more famous than it is. He took a group of volunteers and put them in a room with 14 hours of darkness a night, mimicking the long winter nights our ancestors would have experienced without artificial light. No clocks, no schedules, just darkness. Within about 4 weeks, without anyone telling them to, the volunteers' sleep split in two. First sleep, then a quiet awake period of calm wakefulness, then second sleep. Ware's subjects reported something else too. During that middle waking window, they felt something close to meditation. A relaxed, almost trance-like calm. Not anxious, not tired, just present. That's the part that should sit with you. Your body might still know how to do this. It just never gets the 14 hours of darkness required to remember. Now here's where it connects to something even older than candlelight and Belgian inventors. Sleep researcher Jerome Siegel at UCLA wanted to know what sleep actually looked like before agriculture, before cities, before any of this. So he studied 3 modern hunter-gatherer societies that still live largely without electricity. the Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, the Chimane in Bolivia. And he found challenge a segmented sleep idea in an interesting way. These groups didn't split their sleep into two obvious blocks either, but they also didn't sleep 8 hours straight. They slept in one main period, but a shorter one than modern humans assume is normal, often 6.5 hours, and they went to bed well after sunset and woke before sunrise. Temperature, not clock time, seemed to govern when they slept. They fell asleep as the temperature dropped after sunset and woke as it started rising before dawn. So which is it? Two blocks, like acres found in old European records? Or one shorter block, like seagull found in living hunter-gatherer groups today? Probably both are true, depending on the season, the latitude, and how long the night actually was. Long winter nights in northern Europe may have naturally produced the two-part pattern Ware recreated in his lab. Shorter, warmer nights near the equator may have produced something closer to what Siegel observed. Human sleep was never one rigid rule. It was a flexible response to how much darkness the night handed you. What ties all of this together is temperature and light, not willpower. Harvard sleep researcher Charles Czeisler has spent decades showing how sensitive your internal clock is to exactly these two things. A single hour of bright light at the wrong time can shift your body's entire rhythm. Your ancestors' sleep patterns weren't a discipline problem or a mystery. They were a direct readout of the environment around them. So think about your own 3 a.m. wake-ups differently for a second. You're not broken. You might be running a very old piece of software in an environment it was never designed for. Your brain still expects long dark nights with a lull built into the middle. Instead, you get bright screens until midnight, a single collapse block of forced sleep, and a jarring alarm that cuts it off before your body decided it was done. That doesn't mean you should force yourself to wake up in the middle of the night on purpose. Fragmented modern sleep, cut short by stress and screens, is not the same as the calm, unhurried segmented sleep Akirch and Ware described. Context matters, but it might explain why so many people wake at 3 a.m. and immediately panic when their great-great-great-grandparents would have simply accepted it. Maybe said a prayer, maybe talked to their spouse, and gone back to sleep without a second thought. The anxiety isn't ancient, it's modern. The waking is ancient. Maybe the next time you open your eyes in the dark and the house is silent, you don't need to reach for your phone or panic about broken sleep. Maybe you are just doing something your body has done for most of its existence. A brief, quiet window between two halves of the night. A pause built in on purpose, long before anyone needed to explain it. It's 3 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling. And for the first time, that might not be a problem to solve. It might just be a very old rhythm finally catching up with you.